We continue reading from chapter 7 of the Gospel of John, but today we will read verses 40 to 52. However, the discussion about the identity of Jesus continues. There is a dispute among the people. Is Jesus the Messiah? Is he the Christ? Is he the anointed one, or is he not? And there is confusion, and there is anger, and there is disharmony among the people. Some believe that Jesus is indeed the Christ because of his person. Others will refuse to believe because his very person is a threat to them. There is a phrase which we often use in English, which is, I know. While it is fine to say I know when we really know, unlike the religious leaders of the time of Jesus who said I know when they did not know, is dangerous. They were aware of the scriptures. They were aware that God spoke in the scriptures. They were aware that the scriptures had prophesied that the Messiah would never come from Galilee. Galilee was regarded as Galilee of the Gentiles, of the unbelievers. So the Messiah could not come from a place where there was unbelief. The Messiah had to come from a holy place. The Messiah had to be of the lineage of David. The Messiah had to come from Bethlehem. They were not aware that the birth of Jesus, according to the Gospel, took place in Bethlehem. They were not aware that Jesus was of the lineage of David, or even if they were aware, they did not want to believe because Jesus was a totally different kind of Messiah from the one whom they expected. They expected a warrior Messiah. They expected a Messiah who would come on a horse. They expected a Messiah who would wage war with the Romans and overthrow them. And here was Jesus, who was the Messiah indeed, and came not on a horse, but on a colt. Came not to overthrow Romans or anyone else, but to love them with compassion and unconditional love. He came not to condemn people for the sins that they were committing, but to tell them that no matter how sinful they were loved by an unconditional God who was Father and Mother. If the religious leaders had this fixed idea in their minds of the kind of Messiah, of their own worth before the Messiah, they were unable to accept this new revelation, this radical proclamation, and so they rejected the Lord. And they justified their rejection by appealing to the scriptures, by talking about the fact that they were intellectuals and knew. I know. There are times in our lives when we use this phrase, I know, and if we use it about something which we are definite about, it is fine. But if we use it to stop an argument, when someone tells us something and we simply stop the person by saying, I know, and because we are refusing to change, then we are behaving very much like the religious leaders of the time of Jesus, and we need to stop, to open our minds and our hearts, and to realize that God can choose a variety of ways to reveal himself. That God doesn't necessarily reveal himself in the way I think God will. And so my job is not to tell God how God must reveal himself, but to open my mind and my heart to whatever revelation and whenever God reveals himself. How will you show that your mind and heart is open to whatever revelation God will make today?